What up, peeps? It's your girl Dash coming back to you for another takes. It's that time again. I'm doing a review to Black Lightning Season 2, Episode 6, The Book of Blood, Chapter 2, Perdi. Now, this was a good episode. I enjoy this. I can tell you, really since Episode 4, I just feel like we're picking up a little extra momentum and a lot of stuff that's coming into the forefront with a lot of different storylines, on top of stuff that's actually currently happening with each of the characters. Now, for this one, I like how it starts off. We meet a new, in some ways, want to say vaccinated metahuman of sorts, goes by the name The Looker. This character is played by Sofia Vassilieva. That's a lot to say right there. I will say, first and foremost, she definitely intrigued me from the jump. Now, granted, if you all remember episode 5, we were introduced to Anaya and Deacon and not understanding what was happening. Of course, when it was a sort of silver type of, some type of silver ooze coming from him, to come to find out. And when this particular episode 6, we learned a little bit more because it was coming out of his face. We didn't know what was going on. So that's why Deacon made a comment when he was in the midst of dying to Anissa, please help her, she knows whatever, please help save the babies and save Anissa. So that's when, of course, we definitely get the introduction now to the person who seems to be running things in South Freeland, and that is called The Looker. She, of course, is having a conversation with the gentleman. It's some women, but mostly guys, that she's actually confronting to find out what's going on, what's happening, how could this happen, whichever. She's sensing certain things are happening. And that's the thing I was intrigued as well with regards to her powers, knowing what happened, not knowing exactly, why she's feeling this way, not realizing it's a girl walking around who's pregnant, with the silver element in them, whichever, and all that. And that's probably what she's kind of sensing, and she needs to know more. One of them, of course, decides, to make it known that, yeah, you came to town 30 years ago, and of course you saved us from opioids and drugs and things like this, got them clean, whatever. But then, of course, he kind of lashes out when she throws copies, saying that you didn't, you treat us like slaves, we're not able to do this. And honestly, you could kind of feel the vibe that yes, she's using them. She feels like because she has them clean, they're not doing drugs, that she's doing them a favor. But then in the end, you're forcing them to do other things they don't truly want to do, and she ends up basically killing him. Now, from there, of course, she basically gives the orders for the other guys to figure out what's going on. I need some answers, whichever. From there, of course, episode starts. We see finally Gambi. I didn't think he went nowhere. Ain't no way. I didn't see nobody. It's talking about he was incinerated through a car. I was like, whatever. But, Henderson's not going to know what's going on, and they're not going to tell his business just yet. That's not, honestly, right now, their place to do that. It's fine. He knows about thunder and lightning, but Gambi, like Jefferson said, we're going to protect him, because if that got out, especially with him working with certain government officials in the past from season 1, that probably wouldn't bode well, whatever. That would really put Henderson in a very precocious, situation. So shows him torturing one of the guys who was in the car that came up trying to, of course, kill Gambi. And he's explaining to him that, yes, he, of course, definitely was trying to kill him, but he was, given a payment to do it. What was funny about that situation, well, not funny, but very interesting, was he was paid, of course, online, and the way he was paid was with Bitcoin. Now, of course, as of the last, almost year, we've been hearing about Bitcoin, this Bitcoin, that. So I thought it was rather interesting they used that as a way to showcase, okay, in a payment transaction as opposed to just regular money being either laundered or whatever. But, of course, he ended up getting his demise, so to speak. And it was kind of cute, the scene where he was like, you're going, this is not the way we do things. We don't know that you're going to do this to me in front of my family when it's 2 little dogs. And he was like, they'll get over it. And when he killed them, he was just like, they're all making this little, wee little noise. He's like, sorry, ladies, like, it was going to happen. The man was trying to kill him. So if he doesn't kill him, it was killed or be killed. So from there, you basically see the scene of Lynn having to finally explain to the families, not showing and verifying exactly which family members, but it was a collective amount of them. What looked like to be in an open room, something. It looked like similar, like, of course, like some sort of gymnasium, whatever, their own bleachers, whatever. Of course, Jefferson's there for more support, because it shows Lynn, before that, having a moment where Jefferson comes home and she's explained to him how, of course, Dr. Jace had, cooked the books on some of the information that they were going to use to find a way to, awaken the kids in the pods, whatever, and all that, where they will be able to come out, whichever, and slowly work from rebuilding their lives, whatever, being able to be outside of the pods. And of course, she lost, half out of the kids, which was 14. She's devastated. She hates that she was used, whichever. It's just a disaster, and Jefferson feels really bad for her. You can clearly tell she's really taking it hard, which, believably so. She should. You can't blame her for that. And I felt so bad because all she wanted, she felt that those kids, they had need somebody to be their voice, whatever. They're human beings and not some little, guinea pig subjects, whatever. No, of course, Dr. Chase can give a damn. So she's went along. But I'm like, what did you expect, honestly? The woman has changed. She's done harm to other people and killed, did not care. She made the comment how, yeah, she cares enough with her, but if you remember her other two people she worked with, they didn't have a soul of care for anything or anyone. So she was the nicer one out the crew, so to speak. But yeah, that right there. But I said it, I really feel like they're going to find a way to bring her back. It's a possibility she might end up coming back. That Agent Odell, I wonder what's up, because he's like, if she does anything bad or whatever, it's going to be her downfall, and he will not take the blame for this. It's all going to fall on her, and he made it abundantly clear, if anything happens that's really bad, it will fall on her. So of course, the next thing you see is Tobias, having his councilman or whatever go to visit, Reverend Holt, trying to explain to him, we can get you a new clinic and a new location and the money for it, paid for, whatever, just move. And he's like, you know what, I'm not here for this. I'm not buying this. He says, what does Tobias have on you? Clearly something with him and all that. And you could tell the guy doesn't want to do it, but he's being forced to do something he really doesn't want to do, because of course he campaigned with somebody who did harm to a lot of those people in regards to situations that happened a long time ago. And it's like, yeah, you took money from this man, you didn't do your research, this is what happened. So when he tells him, I'm fully aware that Tobias is dirty. I know that he works with the 100, and thirdly, that he's the one that tried to assassinate him. So it's like, he's not here for that. He's like, tell him he can kiss his holy bleep. He wants no part. But the guy does leave, and you can just tell that Reverend Holt is like, no, I'm not going to, fall and falter to this guy, whatever, and all that. He's trying to act like he wants to be nice. He goes back and tells him and Khalil what happened. And he's just like, I did it. He said, matter of fact, just get another building somewhere. So he's like, you know what? And he tells Khalil, you know what? You need to just deal with him. He needs to be dealt with, and he needs to be killed. And he's like, the councilman guy was like, I don't even want to hear this crap. He kind of walks away, out of earshot or whatever. And Khalil's trying to explain to him, there should be something else. I thought you had some attorney work. And he's like, that's your problem, whatever. You're doing all this thinking, whatever, and all that. You don't know what the heck you're talking about. Don't worry about that, whatever. You just need to do this. And he's just explained to him, like, you want me to kill him in the church? You want me to do this? And he's like, my mom he's like, I'm not asking you to kill your mother. I want you to kill him. And he's like, and this time, I'm gonna make sure it sticks. I'm gonna make sure, this time it's done right. That's when the realization comes into play. And he finally realizes that, yes, Tobias is the reason you're paralyzed. Tobias came to feel like he was doing a noble thing, hence his sister putting in his ear, because trust and believe me, you probably would not be walking if it wasn't really for his sister putting it to him to do that, to be like this wholesome guy that's helpful and his savior. That man was not your savior. He did that because he eventually would wanted to use you, and you could do some of his dirty work so he can keep his hands clean. That's why he killed the other guy who knew anything about what happened to Jefferson Pierce's father. He killed the cop who had the, whatever paperwork he needed. He's cutting all his loose ends. And trust and believe me, when you do whatever he wants, he'll probably eventually try to kill you. And it's like, he really needs to figure out what he's going to do, because if Tobias has his way, that's exactly how this is all going to turn out. And it's just, I'm just glad we didn't have to wait till the end of the season to see if he might learn about that tidbit. That's a good part. I'm very, very happy. Now, like I said, Lynn decides to go and speak to the families. She has explained to them. She doesn't go into detail. She doesn't even tell some of the family members who become outraged. One in particular, a father, showing a picture from his phone and saying, is one of them my daughter? She won't even tell. And he's like, how are you going to sit there and tell us this, but you can explain to us which family members it is, whatever. And she's trying to, find a way to defend why they're not giving all the information all about. Then the father's like, he's had it, and he kind of comes off of the little steps, the bleachers, and by then Jefferson's right there to try to help, and they kind of whisk her away. It's just out of control. You can tell she feels so guilty. She can barely keep herself up. She looked like she wanted to just buckle, in a ball. I just felt so bad for Lynn having to do that, and Jefferson wants to be there. She's like, no, just go. Let me handle this last little bit, because she has to deal with the paperwork, the discussions, whatever needs to be, understand as to how this happened. And it's just, right now, like I said, haven't seen Agent Odell. We don't know where he's hiding. I'm curious about that part, but hopefully we'll see him very soon. I feel like he will be popping up. We're only in episode 6, so. But yeah, that was just just so sad. I really feel for her. Now from there, Gambi, of course, is staying low key. He's in a hotel. He's freshening up his face. That's when we get a flashback. We get the flashback of exactly how, because I kept trying to figure out, did he jump out? Because of the time the car flipped over the SUV, you can't really see a body come out. So I'm trying to think, okay, what could it be? Now I will say this. I was already on point when I said the last time, when you see the little scene of him and they're hitting the car and the car is telling him the penetration of the car or whatever, or the acceleration or whatever is at 9%, whatever. That reminded me of, like I said before, in Winter Soldier, about Nick Fury, car, whatever, trying to get away from the guys trying to shoot it up, whatever and all, and trying to do him harm. By the time he got there and the car had flipped over, by then we saw Winter Soldier. He had, looked like he, did something where he was able to free himself below, underneath the vehicle. Here we are. Same thing happens in this particular situation, and I thought that was really interesting. I said they took a little, page from that, because it is very similar in the way it's portrayed, and I'm just glad that Gambi is not gone. I said I didn't hear any word that I can't remember the actor's name right now. My apologies for that. He was leaving the show. I said this just has to be a part of the storyline to kind of push it, because now he's going to try his best to stay low key, and I feel like he's going to try to keep getting to the bottom of it. He needs to figure out where this transaction or money, I don't know if he stole the guy's cell phone, whatever, this Bitcoin, way of money transaction. How did it go? Where did it come from? IP address, all the stuff that you need to know. And I'm just curious about that aspect of that. So that will be really interesting once I see, and as the episodes move on, we'll learn a little bit more, and I'm looking forward to that. So, but moving on from that, you guys. So the next thing you see is, of course, Anissa setting up her tracking device on her Jeep, whichever, setting it up where you can see the signal going off in the computers at Gambi's place. And from there, I figured she's doing that just in case she doesn't come back or something happens, her father will be able to locate her. Smart girl. Every now and then she has moments where she's a hothead and trying to does stuff hasty, but every now and then she thinks, even though she's still out there by herself, she can't protect herself, but she just has to be mindful to set up, as an extra precaution, plan B, whichever. She's walking in the woods, whatever, she's on her way to try to find Anaya, like Deacon said, and she comes across a group of people, which are called the Perdi. So by then she's brought in there, she meets the parents of Anaya, and they're like, who are you? They ask her name, then they ask her, why are you so concerned with her daughter? It's like, I'm not sure, whichever, and that's when she sees Anaya walk in and asks her, and tells her actually that Deacon is dead. And by then you can see, because of course they show a scene of the father. He is deaf, and he basically signs to the wife, who the hell is Deacon? And that's when you know that she wasn't aware. Now I'm assuming from the brother that's in the back, whose face is literally bent most of the time, he was probably somebody she might have been seeing, or was at the moment, whatever, but she ended up getting with Deacon or whatever. By that time you can see she becomes a little bit stressed, whatever, and a little anxiety kicks in from the situation, the confrontation, or just being confronted with letting her know about Deacon. Her parents not really knowing she was seeing Deacon. Mother kind of has an inkling. The ex-boyfriend must have known, whatever. By then she goes into labor. So for there, that's when it gets really interesting, whichever and all that. And Nessa now has to deliver. Now, girlfriend ain't no real doctor, but she's been around, the clinic or whatever, probably seen some stuff. She is, studying her, for a medical, degree, whichever. So who knows? We'll see how that will pan out. Of course, I'm trying to use some of those airs, so it's not always just about her being, all about thunder, which was actually nice. Now, from there, it does show another scene where, of course, Lynn finishes up some things and she's driving home. She's thinking, I think she's at a light or whatever. And of course, the father who confronted her during the moment of the conference, amongst the family members, he ramps into her car, whatever. He gets out and he went straight to the window again, saying, "Where's my daughter?" with his cell phone out. And it was just, I feel so bad for him. And there's nothing she can say, honestly, or do whichever to bring them back. But it's just like, she's just, her mind, she's all over the place. It's like, she wants to do the right thing. That she has to deal with this and she has to deal with that. And she just kind of leaves and she's just telling him through the window, I'm sorry. And she darts off or whichever, and she just leaves the father in the middle of the street, and he's just like, man, please, tell me something. And you just feel for him. I really do. You all these years, you didn't know what happened with your child, and you found out they're in this hospital and all, and you want them to be protected and safe, that they can find a way to, purge them from these pods so they can be out amongst whatever and all that. It's like all that time has passed, and it's like he can't even do that now. So that was just so heartbreaking. By then, you see the scenes, of course, of Khalil going to see Jennifer, explaining to her exactly this new realization, or, a reveal of sorts, and she's just like this, because he says, honestly, he says, I blame Black Lightning. And I think that's one of the reasons why that little situation happened at the school when Tobias was holding him back, whatever and all that. He literally did. He thought he was the one that did this because, of course, Black Lightning was right there talking to Reverend Holt during that protest, whatever and all. He just felt like he, got in the way or whatever, because that, of course, that bullet honestly was for Black Lightning, and it just happened to jump off of him, and it hit, hit Reverend Holt, and then it hit and then caused, the spinal injury that, Khalil has. And I just feel so bad, but I'm glad now that that truth part is out. This is what you're dealing with. This guy basically smiling in your face. He doesn't give a damn about anybody. Sometimes I don't think he even cared about his sister, but let him tell it. But yeah, he's just, oh gosh, he would really love for Khalil to be just like Cyanide, where the girl has no emotions whatsoever. She just does any of his bidding, and that's it. She doesn't seem to care about having any emotions, and she really reveled in that. You can clearly see the occasional smirk. She didn't care. So, but he's not like that. Clearly, he met Cyanide when she was a child. So, of course, she could be, raised and taught and learned to be that way. So, I just like that they had a nice little moment on the top of the rooftop. And they were just talking. She was like, we've been through some things, whichever, I'm going to be there for you. Because he's kind of stuck. He has nowhere to go. He kind of alienated himself with his mother. He's basically definitely has anywhere. And I wish that she had a place she could take him to. Won't be going to her father's old house because we know Anissa's there, so that's not going to happen. So yes, if she was trying to protect him, he could stay there because at least that's off the books, but that's not, I definitely know that's not going to happen. But just knowing that he has her in his corner, because at first he was like, you weren't first given a time day, but she's wanting to do that now. And I love the scene where they were just, sitting there, and he's like, all his bad mistakes, he's like, he feels like he did one thing right, whatever, and just a kiss on the hand was just so cute. I love it. I'm sorry, I'm here for them both. I want this to work. I'm hoping that Tobias doesn't try to do something to him, whatever. I just feel like he still is redeemable. There's a way to help him, and now that he's being honest with her and telling her everything and all that, that will help. That will help him to get past this, whatever, and eventually, move things forward and all that, where she can bring her parents around, mainly her dad, but so we'll have to see how that pans out. So, but needless to say, of course, Anissa's in the midst of delivering the baby. Of course, first baby comes out. Sorry to give it away that quickly, but yes, the baby comes out. Of course, cute little black baby, just cute as can be, whatever, and all. Her parents are so happy, whatever. Then all of a sudden, some pain happens again, and it's a second baby. She's having twins, unbeknownst probably to her. And that's another thing I noticed. When she got checked at the clinic, I'm like, okay, she just was doing just her vitals, blood pressure, whatever. Everything's okay with her heartbeats. She didn't check the stomach to see that she would have been having twins, because I don't think that even Anaya knew, because once the baby came out, she thought that was it. So I don't think she was getting regular checkups. I think being in the woods or whatever, that's probably right. That's why Deacon kept staring, make sure nobody had followed them. I'm thinking that's kind of why they did. They want to make sure the baby, because like Anissa said, she was 38 weeks when that she was due any day, and now here we are, she's having a baby. Now when she has a second baby, baby comes out white. Mommy ain't too happy. She kind of feels very hesitant. She doesn't know what to do, because she can already imagine, because the Perdi do not care for the Sanjay, and if she's looking at these babies, she knows that she was definitely with Deacon. Something's not right here, and there's gonna be some trouble, because Daddy is holding the black baby out in the main room, and they're in the bedroom with us. So Vanessa gives her the baby, and she kind of looks at her mom, the gesture to see, and her mom kind of turns away, and that's when she knows, yeah, it's just not good. We already see the writing on the wall for that, and yeah, her dad's not gonna be none too happy about that. And I felt bad for her, but the babies are here now. They're going to have to find a way to work past this, whichever. So, but from there, Jefferson, of course, shows up at Gamby's place, and he's just like, looking for Anissa, thinking she's there, and here's the tracking device from the computer system, whatever. Then that's when he realizes that she must be wherever this location is on that, because her suit is still there. So he's all worried about her, like she's not protected with her suit on, whatever. How is she looking? Of course, she's still using the same look she uses when she was still in that money. Just the eyes are out, the mouth is, covered, whatever, and all. So she can have some sort of, facial, disclosure, so they can't really see who she really is. So, but yes, that was interesting. The next part being Anissa speaking to the parents, like, you all need to figure out what you want to do about these babies, because before that, there's a scene where Anissa and Anaya talk, and she explains to her how, the way it's always been. They're saying how Purdy's have lived with the whites, in South Carolina for years, really since the end of slavery, whichever. Of course, the last 30 years, they made money off of the land, whatever. Of course, the Purdy's live in the woods, whatever. They, farmers, whatever. They grow a lot of, certain, organic stuff and all that. And of course, she makes, hemp. And this is like weed. It just funny right there. And then she explains them how 30 years ago, whichever, the looker must have came, and she came to town, of course, like I said, 30 years ago. And then you have how she caused this sort of, silver element, whatever, that this is a silver type of substance called a silver element or whatever, and the people, whatever, and all that, to control them, whichever, and do her bidding or whichever. And this has been going, and that's kind of when Anissa started putting two and two together, because that's when she, of course, knows the story of her dad, how he got these certain powers, or certain things happened to him over 30 years ago, whichever. So it's almost like certain things are tying in. Meaning, some other people around that time that might have been dealing with the certain things with that vaccination or whatever at the time, whatever, and kind of have some sort of powers or metahuman powers, which was interesting. And that's when she realizes, when Anissa asks her, do you think that she'll try to come after the baby? And she's like, yeah, because if she senses them or whatever and all that, and can realize that they have certain powers, or have powers as they get grow and whichever and all that, they could be a threat to her. So that's when Anissa decides she has to talk to parents, like, get over your feelings, whatever, because Anaya made it clear her father would never be able to forgive her, knowing that she was with somebody who was a Sanjay. So a lot of people will probably consider this something similar to some stuff that happened on the show I'd heard on True Blood. I'm like, I can see that, whatever and all that, but it's not to say it's anything wrong with that. There's a lot of shows that do all these different sort of, powers, whatever, evil, whatever. It is what it is, and I don't mind that. It's just a little added layer, and it's nice because it was something different for a storyline, but then it also opens up the possibilities of other things, that could be, in other areas of the town, on South Freeland or the Freeland, you just don't know, and I like that. So that's the part that really intrigues me about the Looker, and what can possibly be from there on out, whatever, depending on how long this episode is, the next one going into the situation with understanding the Looker, and then moving forward into the remaining season for season 2, whichever. But from this part, after that, you see, of course, Khalil shows back up, and he gives Tobias some little, rundown story talking about how there was a lot of people around Reverend Holt. He couldn't do it. I'll do it on another day. Then we get the full breakdown. That's one thing about Tobias. Even though I like his character and I love the guy who plays and all that, he can be so freaking annoying in his goddamn stories. He felt the need to talk about cohesion, social and tactical cohesion, whatever. And I'm just like, you could look on the face of Khalil, same as me, like, oh my God, would you just shut the hell up? You want to whoop his ass again, because you're still in your feelings about cyanide. And of course, Khalil gets a couple, fights, little licks in there, whatever, and all that. But in the end, Tobias got it. It's only how it's going to be for the time being. And it was really bad. I felt so bad for him, whichever, because it was just like some opportunities he could have got even more fights, but it's like, okay, Tobias is supposed to be a little bit stronger. He's been doing this over 30 years. That's exactly why. So, but I feel like Tobias knows he can't truly control Khalil. Khalil is not like how, like I said, Cyanide was. He met Cyanide. He took her in when she was a child and, raised her or whatever. That's why he really does, it still hurts the most, because she was kind of like a child to him, and he thinks Khalil was really at fault for her getting killed. No, Cyanide was her own reason she got killed. Khalil was watching as the lookout. He didn't have to be there to help her. She's fought many a times with Thunder and some other people and was able to hold her own. So explain to me how all of a sudden it's a problem. Yeah, girlfriend Kara got the upper hand and whooped that tail. It is what it is. But this is my thing. I think with Tobias, he knows he can control him. He's like, I won't make a big mistake again, me liking you and, the potential, whatever and all that. But clearly he should have kept it more business with him, not being too nice and calling him, because he thinks that he kind of let him kind of run free reign a little bit. So, as opposed to the rest of the guys from the 100 who literally are straight in line, and Khalil gets a little bit of a go ahead because he's his main muscle. It looks like that might change, and now that he knows that Khalil knows that you're the reason I can't walk and I had to do this, whatever, so you're going to use that against me. I'm going to tell you, he better find a way to make sure his mother's protected, and he needs to get in good with Jennifer and work with Gamby and Jefferson, because I have a feeling if he does not, and that's what he needs to do, and finds a way to get that briefcase and all that, Tobias is going to try to kill him, and I pray they don't kill this boy off before the end of the season. I hope he lives to stay and work on the good side. He can finally come over to the right side and do what he needs to do, because Jefferson did put it to him a couple episodes ago. Let me help you, whichever and all that. And of course he was still blaming him. So now that he knows it's not the case, you never know if he decides to meet up with Black Lightning and plead his case. That's just my take on that. So, but yes, but after that, you do see the scene where Anissa the Purdys are deciding that they need to definitely get out, get out of there. And they, of course, by then, Jefferson definitely is on his way, whatever, because it's like, yeah, I got to find out where my daughter is at, whatever. And that's when, things start to kind of, flush out, whatever, and all that. He's like, what the heck? And he's like, already mad, and this, like, yeah, you got some explaining to do later, whatever. So he's there to help his daughter, because she's like, it's like, finally, about time you showed up. And by that time, Gambia, of course, gets a signal too. So, of course, he finds a way to be, helpful, whatever, and all that. Using certain, equipment in the air that can shoot up, whatever, to help. And that was interesting that they didn't realize that that was being used. It was far away. I don't know if he's still trying to make it seem elusive to Jefferson and Anissa that he's still alive. I think the less they know right now, the better to protect him, so he can't stay, out in the open, to stay well hidden, whatever, and still feel like he's helping, the Pierce family. I love the little fight sequences, and of course the music. They play certain things that I love to hear. And that was a good scene. I enjoyed that. And when it shows Jefferson getting upper hand, aka Black Lightning getting upper hand, I enjoyed that as well. Now I love the scene, even though it was a sad scene, where Lynn is at home, and of course Jennifer comes in here. She's like, "Is that apple juice?" No, fool was probably maybe a glass of bourbon or something, whatever. And I did notice that with Lynn, we saw her drink a couple of glasses of wine. That's what I thought she was going to drink, but she went straight to the heavier stuff. And you could tell it's weighing on her. Her eyes look very weighted. She looks like she's been crying. She looks tired, exhausted from the whole ordeal, just coming to terms. She probably didn't sleep after it happened. After she decked Dr. Jace and then sat there looking at all the paws with the poor little kids have passed. And her daughter trying, she's like, "I'm not in the mood for you'll snarl little marks here," because Jennifer, she has her moments. I'm going to tell you, only in the TV shows, because some parents of my persuasion, as soon as they say something like that, they probably got popped in the mouth, whatever, and all that. I'm sorry, ain't nobody got time for smart mouth. But yeah, just making the moment she makes a point to her mother to explain to her, let her know, like she said, it's not her fault, but in some ways, you are in charge. This, and then her mom's just like, "Thank you for such your true feelings about this one and all." And she's trying to say it the nicest way she can, but sometimes when you're not sure how to say it and it's coming out wrong, it's almost like if you don't play it back to yourself first, just don't say it. And Jennifer got her mother just feeling so bad that her mother's upstairs in the bathroom. Now she's throwing up with her. She comes in there and she tries to soothe her mom. Her mom's trying to explain to her the situation, all that, like because Jennifer thinks when people treat me this or say this to me or do this to me and all, make me feel less and whatever. She's like, I just ignore them. Her mom's like, I wish that was that easy, but she doesn't realize the things her mom's dealing with truly, because it's all these people from different areas. The families who lost them, Agent Odell. It's just everything's coming, and he made it abundantly clear when he had that little confrontation, from across from each other, sitting at that table, looked like it's some sort of interrogation room. So again, like I said, I can't wait to see when Agent Odell is going to come back and we can learn more of what he's really up to, whatever and all, because I know there's a lot going on with him. I love me some Bill Duke, so I'm just enjoying every minute of that. His face, that straight serious look, is just, oh my God, I'm here for it. So, but yes, of course, Anaya does get away, whichever, and it shows, of course, Black Lightning Jefferson stays behind with her and all that, and everything. At that moment, we don't know what happened to her parents, because Anaya took the white baby and her parents took the black baby. By then, some things happened. They go see Anissa coming up, and they're like, "Where's your parents?" She's like, "They're not here. Whatever. We're still here. We're waiting. Whatever, and all that." That's when they realize, something happened. So of course, her father goes to investigate, and they notice that all these dead bodies, whatever, and all that. Secondly, one of them decides to pour out the silver element, and it starts to go. That's the one thing I thought was really interesting. I liked when she was telling her, she says something about that particular serum. When it comes out, it goes back to its original host, which is the looker. So it starts moving in the ground within the forest, in the woods, whatever. And he just followed, and of course, and this says, just follow it. Maybe it'll take you back to her. You can figure out where the baby is, because I think the parents and the babies are together. Now we don't know for certain, whichever, but so far that was where they were going with that. Now after the beatdown that Khalil got, of course, he eventually shows up. He just wants to hear Jennifer's voice, and it's so sweet because you just feel so bad for him. He's in his little hoodie trying to cover himself, and she's like, you could have just called me. What's going on? Is everything okay? And she's like, if you don't get up here, I'm closing this window, whatever. And she's like, come up here, whatever. He comes up. She just basically turns around, opens up, takes off his hoodie, and then she's like, what happened? And he says, Reverend Holt wouldn't leave town. because he gave him, and that's the part I missed. My apologies, guys. The part where he does confront Reverend Holt, and Reverend Holt, prior to that, I don't think I said that part when I said he got the beat down. They had a little moment where he's trying to tell him, you can break free. You know, I know you work, you know, probably working for Tobias, whatever, and all that. You know, you still can be saved and all that. He doesn't feel like he can be, because you can see it's not in him to kill. So go back, flash back to him talking to her when he makes the comment saying, you know, Reverend Holt didn't leave town, because that's what he wanted to do. He does not want to kill him, and it's really not his nature. Like that part with Black Lightning, you know, in season 1, I think it was episode 20, you know, was it 19 or 20, whatever, like that, where he decked whatever, he caused him, you know, to have to be jolted by Jennifer and her powers, whatever. But it's not really, honestly, in his nature to do this. His name being Painkiller is just like, it's just not him at all. I don't know where they got that name from, but, you know, it is what it is. And she's understanding, excuse me, you guys, about that. And I feel so bad for him, because he's basically stuck whichever, and he's like, you know, I appreciate you helping me, whatever, because he just feels like he needs to just get away. It looks like he's trying to just say his goodbyes in some way, and she's like, are you, you know, why are you talking like that? Like, I'm not going to see her again. And you could tell at that moment, Jennifer's just like, I can't let him leave me. I can't let him go, because she just feels like she's losing some people that she cares about. Of course, recently she found out about Gamby, and now him about to leave her, whatever. It's only so much she can take, whichever. So she just, you know, looks him in his eyes, whatever. They have his little, that eye contact, chemistry, and then a good hug, which I thought was just needed, and he needed it, even though he was in pain, whichever, from, oh my goodness, that beat down, literally. Yeah, he needed that. So, but yes, last part of the scene where you see that the little baby, the black baby, is now being taken to the looker. And of course she makes a comment, what am I supposed to do with this? And she basically does her little thing, and she notices, oh, so the Sanjay are frolicking with the Perdi. And that's when she's like, okay, what's going on? That's when she asks, okay, where's Deacon? And that's when the cop from the last episode tells her, well, it looks like someone from the Perdi side, you know, realized that, you know, he was seeing one of the girls, whatever, and all that, and he shot him. They tried to set up and make it look like it was them. And they're like, okay, you know, you kill, like, you know, if you know, die like a Perdi, you get killed like a Perdi. So yeah, just, you can tell she's none too happy. Of course, one of her minions gives her the baby, you know, very hesitantly, not wanting the baby, but then eventually she decides to dig a little deeper with her, you know, her powers, and she realizes, you know, my goodness, there's another baby. It's a white baby. And that's when she's like, we need to find this other baby. So, and that's kind of how it ends. And I'm going to tell you guys, that was a fully loaded episode. I enjoyed it. I really am fascinated to see, because you can tell in regards to the racial aspect of it, you know, how the separation in South Freeland with the Purdys and the Sanjay, whatever, and all that. And then how she comes in 30 years, you know, earlier, and doesn't even seem to help that, you know, that friction, whatever. No, she makes it worse, especially with her powers and capabilities and all that. So she gives them these enhanced abilities. You know, they can do certain things with the strength, you know, the speed, all these things, whatever. And they, like I said, do her bidding and all that. And she just seems like she's very cold and calculating. Her and Tobias would make a great couple. Whichever, that would be really interesting. But yes, I'm just looking forward to seeing what's going to happen on the next episode. That will be interesting to see how that pans out with her, because you can tell she's really wanting that other baby. And, you know, Jefferson's trying to find the little black baby. So, I'm just wanting to see how this is going to, if it's going to go more than an episode, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know how long they're going to flesh that out. Same thing with Gamby. How long is he going to stay hidden? I want to know if they're going to do more information in regards to, him doing, you know, his research to figure out, you know, that money transaction with the Bitcoin, whatever. You know, I'd like to know that, and hopefully I'll give him more information, whatever. But hopefully he'll eventually meet up with Jefferson. He might meet up with them too, somewhere at the house, whatever, and all that. And they can speak freely and all that, but they just got to act like this. But it's going to be really interesting also. Can he go back to his place? Can he work there anymore? Because, of course, you know, they think he's dead. Then he's going to have to explain to Henderson. Somebody's not going to realize, did you get out, you're afraid, whatever. They could eventually say, yes, he made it out, whatever. I keep wanting to think, could Tobias have something to do with that? It's a possibility, because he knows, of course, he has an inkling that he knows who Black Lightning is, or where Black Lightning, you know, could be staying at, whatever, and he doesn't really trust Gamby. Gamby ain't here for him, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like he could be tying up a loose end with him. That's why I feel like, you know, it could be someone else in the agency of sorts, and we could just be waiting to see a reveal of somebody else who could be just as more brutal, even maybe so to Tobias. It could be a little bit of a threat to Gamby from his past. So like I said, we're only 6 in, so we have a long way to go. Now for Lynn, I don't know what's going to happen moving forward with this. Are they going to strip her of her, her duties, her powers, to work on this now? Is Agent O'Day going to come in? Yeah, I gave you this chance, you ruined it. Now it's time for you to go. This isn't working anymore. That will be interesting with that. I'm curious to see how that's going to pan out. Then also, just with Anissa, I'm loving what I was seeing with Anissa. Like I said, she didn't have to do the Thunder outfit this time. She kind of used her head with some other aspects with helping Anaya, delivering the babies, whatever, and all that, and getting her to safety. Hopefully we'll see where she'll be having her stay at. Maybe put her at her house for a minute and then eventually put her somewhere else so somebody can help her. I'm hoping, that her parents are okay. Anaya's parents, that would be nice. I'm hoping they weren't killed, whichever. We never saw them get rid of them, so it's a possibility they could be holding them somewhere hostage or whatever. That'll be interesting. Also, with Khalil, again, I'm hoping and praying that he does confide in Jennifer and he's just holding it back, because he looks like he's being more forthcoming with things now. He's not. He wants her in his life, and I think she definitely wants him, especially at the ending of the episode, whichever. She just couldn't bear him to be gone. I'm loving what I'm seeing with what they're trying to do with the dynamic. It's like they're kind of hesitant. She's more so, but she's laying her guard down. He's opening up to her, whatever, and all that, because he was angry for so long, and now he feels like everything that he was told was a lie. That's even makes him a little bit more angry, but it's like he doesn't have any more in him. And Tobias just keeps, and I'm getting I'm gonna be honest with you, a little tired of the constant fighting. This with him, smacking him. This is all you're gonna be doing. They need to give him a little bit more. I said, I know we're doing some stuff where he's trying to buy this and buy that, but that parts of the storyline does not last long. So it's like it's this conflict between him and Khalil. And the thing is that as much as he can sometimes get the upper hand, he forgets he said stuff, he's done stuff. Khalil could turn on him, and he can give information. Matter of fact, he can be the one to get him in trouble for shooting him and trying to assassinate Reverend Holt. So it's like that's a perfect example right there. They could possibly use this it, but if they do go down the road, like I said, I'd be afraid they try to get rid of him, and that will be something, because I feel like if that does happen, Jennifer will really lose it, and those powers are going to be enraged, and her father's going to find a way to contain her. She probably will go off. So we say, but speaking of Jennifer, I'm really hoping they kind of come to grasp with her and her powers and all that, but I'm really looking forward to her feeling more comfortable with Khalil, to just let him know about that. I feel like she needs to talk to somebody, not even just with with the lady played by Erica Alexander, but I just really want her to feel like she can come to him like they were before the accident, whatever. He could not walk and got caught up with Tobias. The potential is there. He is definitely redeemable in my eyes, and that's what I want to see for him. I want him to make it on the show. I don't want him to go anywhere. I think he adds a little extra, and I think with him having his powers, that could be an asset to them. That would be nice. So we'll have to see how that works out. Now, as for Jefferson, I just want him to realize that Gambi is alive soon, and Gambi can get him to help him. Maybe even Anissa, he can still stay low key, and I have a feeling that's going to eventually happen. He might eventually reach out, and they'll find a way to find information for him while he stays low a little bit. He can't keep going out here, kid, because they're going to eventually put 2 and 2 together. They're going to be like, why are these certain guys, that we used to kill Gambi are getting killed off? Something's not buying. That's going to come back. I feel like he's not going to be able to get out of that. So we'll see how long that part lasts. But you guys, overall, I just enjoyed this episode. I'm loving what I'm seeing. As I said, last episode 4 was really good. Episode 5 was really good. And then this one was too. I'm looking forward to episode 7 next week. So yes, you guys, comment below. Let me know which part you all enjoyed from the episode. If you enjoyed just a couple, if you enjoyed the whole episode, hey, that's all it is. I just think the show is just awesome. I love every bit of it. So with that said, I will see you guys on the next review. You guys take care.